Okay, so let's see what this guy's name is Converse to Grow, and he tells me that I am, I guess, a representative realist, and that I don't understand the problems. And it's more of this thing that bugged me about theosophers of, oh, the problem is you didn't study this problem, you haven't known. I understand exactly. So okay, go to Wikipedia. He said, did this representative realism. I did this. I've left a text comment on this. It says representational realism related to indirect realism is a philosophical concept broadly equivalent to the accepted view of perception in natural science. Unfortunately, the meaning of the theory is dependent on the user's pre-interpretation of words like perceive, reality, etc., such that in the long-standing debate between representational, indirect, and naive, direct realists, each side will always claim that the other has not understood their position. Thus, readers of this account must ask what the writers believe their word to mean. Representational realism states that we do not and cannot perceive the external world as it really is. Okay, right there is a problem. I don't posit the external world. I don't believe that the term external makes sense. So let's go on, and I'll explain what I mean in a second. Semicolon. Instead, we know only our ideas and interpretations of the way the world is. I don't ask what the world is, I ask how our perceptions are behaving directly. This might be said to indicate that a barrier or veil of perception prevents first-hand knowledge of the world, but the representational realist would deny that first-hand knowledge in this sense is a coherent concept, since knowledge is always via some means, which that, for example, is, I do believe that. But going on, an indirect realist believes our ideas of the world are interpretations of sense data derived from a real external world, unlike idealists. So that's not me. I don't believe they're derived from a real external world. I believe they're derived from a subset of our perceptions, which we call sense data, based on criteria of judging those perceptions. And it's not because we think they come from a sense organ, because as I've been saying, when you look at a cloud and see a face in the cloud, that feels like it's coming from a sense organ, but we have other ways of saying, well, that's not really sensible information. So I'm not a representational realist because I'm saying we don't have to justify the external world. As a skeptical realist, I don't believe that you can define the external world as something besides our sense perceptions. So once again, I refer you to the videos I made this morning where I say that the reason the so-called real world is related to perceptions is because that's where the idea comes from. It's from number crunching and image processing, okay, our perceptions. That's where it comes from. If you have some separate idea that doesn't come from our perceptions, that's metaphysics and pointless. You'll never establish a connection to that. That's what realism is trying to do in general, and I don't try to do that. The correspondence is between your abstractions and the sense data. That's all internal. Nobody denies that. The only question, the only impossible problem is jumping this gap from our perceptions to this real external world, which is a gap we don't have to jump, can't jump, and we're trying to answer, how did we get this perfect knowledge? And here we are on the other side of the gap with the perfect knowledge. How did we do that? We have to explain how we got here. We didn't get there. It's an illusion that you got there. You were never there. You were always on this side of that gap.